Hello, everybody. I'm Mo Triplet. Welcome to the People's Society. Today, we're going to be speaking with Miss Tyesha Moody, mother of Jaque, Rabon, and we have Mary, a community organizer, joining her. Um, the People's Society was created so victim families can tell their stories and be heard. We want them to have a space where they can tell their truth. So today, that's what we plan on doing. So right now I'm gonna bring in Tyesha and also Mary. Hello, Tyesha.
Hello.
Welcome to the People Society. Hello, Mary.
Hey y'all.
Wel- Welcome to the People Society. So um, I just want to tell the people, as we have our discussion, add your comments and questions, and if we can answer them as we go through the discussion, we will. If we don't answer them, I'll answer them. We'll get answers for you later. So um, Jaque was killed in San Bernardino County by sheriff's deputies on January 22nd, 2026. Jaque was 23. Um, First, I want to say on behalf of the People's Society, sorry for your loss, Tyesha, and I hope that today's discussion, today's conversation, in some way helps you honor Jaque's life and legacy. So let's jump right
Always.
in. Yeah,
Always.
absolutely. So let's jump right in and we'll just start talking and getting information. First question for you, and Mary, jump in at any time. Tell us about Jaque and what kind of young man he was, and what are some of the things he enjoyed doing.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to clarify it. He was killed in Riverside County by San Bernardino sheriffs.
Oh, Riverside County.
So, yes, but it was by San Bernardino sheriffs.
I did say
So,
that. I have
no,
that here. Oh yeah, I have it on my notes, but maybe I said something else. Okay, it's
no,
okay.
it's okay. But yeah, Jaque was like I said, he was that was the light of the house. Jaque was the goofball of the house. Jaque was the protector of the house. Jaque was Jaquay was our backbone. He was the one to hold it together, keep it together, and make everybody, talk, get along. He loved his rapping. He loved singing and rapping. He didn't sing that good, even though he think he could, but he can rap himself. He can rap really good. He has a lot of music out there. He has a lot of singing music out there too, but for the most part, he was a star. He was a shining star.
Wow. So was that a hobby, or was he looking into that
He
seriously?
was actually signed to a record label.
Oh wow.
He was signed. He has been signed for the past 4 years now, 4 or 5 years, I think it was, that he signed to AK is it's called AK Anthem. They're out of Rancho, and he has over 60 videos on YouTube.
Oh wow.
So you can check him out as TGK Splash. That was his rap name.
Wow. Amazing. Um. Yeah. So Mary, you got to add anything to add? Did you know?
Yeah, I just can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, I think it's just really important to understand the strange piece of how San Bernardino sheriffs ended up in Riverside County. Sometimes sheriffs might cross the county line near where the county seat, sits, like right at the border of the two counties. But where Jaque was shot was at the Tyler Plaza, which is very far into Riverside County, like all the way at the Tyler exit in off the freeway, near Tyler and Magnolia, near the Tyler Mall, and that is not close to the jurisdiction of the San Bernardino sheriffs. So I don't know if people are familiar with the protocols and customs of law enforcement, but they generally don't cross into each other's territory without permission and knowledge and communication. And this is a very unusual incident. Like when we see the videos that was taken by folks at the plaza, we see that, you know, there was a lot of folks who look like officers, but they're not wearing their badges. You know, there is very little identifying information about them. It kind of looks like the way we've been seeing people roll up as a part of ICE, you know, where they just have the vests that are bought online, and it's hard to tell what kind of officers they are. And that was the case here. We think they were probably there for some other reason. And
Yeah.
ultimately, you know, this was broad daylight, 10 o'clock in the morning in a public shopping plaza. And really egregious example of law enforcement and state violence, you know, at the hands of the police or the sheriff in this case, without any cause. You know, Jaque was not armed. You know, he was shot in the back. So he was, you know, obviously afraid of the police and running away. And, you know, he's not convicted of anything. So this is not someone who's even had their day in court yet. And for him to be executed in a public square like that, in a public plaza for no reason is really, you know, scary to me. And we've been seeing this kind of escalated tone from law enforcement, ICE, the state in general, especially in Riverside County. So I just want to really call that out, as Tyesha pointed out at the beginning. You know, it's unusual to have the sheriffs cross county lines and then just really, you know, pursue someone without some kind of just cause. Like, you know, there was no incident that would cause this, you know.
Right. No, yeah, that's so yeah, so let's take it from the top then, Tyesha. Why were the sheriffs or police, whoever was going after, because it sounds real convoluted, why were they after Jaque in the first place?
Well, from what they're telling the media, is they had a warrant out for him. He had a warrant for what did they say the warrant was? A felon in possession of a firearm and robbery. Well, those two charges were basically he had a failure to appear. Okay, he didn't have a robbery case because it was basically a domestic violence thing. Like him and his girlfriend were into it. He took her cell phone, ran. He brandished a weapon and ran. No, he didn't hit no one. He didn't rob a store. He had her cell phone, and he did give her cell phone back. She did make false claims to the officers, which they proved half of those were not true. And they took all those charges off. He was current with his bail because I made sure I paid his bail every month. So bail's bonds wasn't after him. Um, he just had a failure to appear. And that failure to appear, he was saving up his money for his attorneys because he didn't want to get in trouble for the felon in possession of a firearm. Now we're gonna say how he got that charge. When he was 18, him and a couple of his buddies were all in the car, five of them. There was one weapon. None of the boys wanted to take the weapon, so they all got the charge. So
Wow.
now my son was the only one, unfortunately, I couldn't bail out of jail. So he was the only one sitting in jail while his other buddies were out free in the world and postponing the court dates. Mind you, since they're all on one case, if one postponed it, then my son sits in jail longer and longer and longer, to where after 2 months of sitting in jail, he was ready to get out.
Wow.
So he took the first deal they offered him. Hey, take this felony charge, you'll get out today.
Yeah,
And him
that's
being a
crazy.
fresh 18, he took that charge. He did all his probation. He completed probation, never got in trouble again since he was 18. And never went to prison. Never seen a prison yard. Only seen the county jail one time. And this
So
this was the results.
so let me just pause for a second. I'm gonna bring Kunta. I see Kunta is here. I'm gonna bring him into the studio. Hey Kunta,
Okay.
how you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing? Good morning.
All right, yeah. So
Can you hear you? Hi, nephew.
How you doing, Auntie? Can you hear me? Good morning.
yeah, morning.
Good morning, man. How you doing? Can you hear me?
I don't think I
Good
can hear
morning.
him. Can you hear him, Mary?
I can hear him.
Can,
Yeah, and I can
can,
hear him.
can you hear me now,
Can't
Auntie?
hear Mary or Kunta.
Oh, you can't? Okay. Yeah, not sure what's going on there. But you can hear me, right, Tyesha? Okay, I translate. I'm the translator today.
I can hear you too.
Unless I come log in and come back in. You want me to try that?
You could if you want. Yeah, we got we're gonna be talking about so yeah, I want to get Kunta a minute to we were just talking about Jaque and starting to talk about the circumstances of why the police pursued him in the first place. We started talking about that. So if you wanna chime in on that, Kunta, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I was listening to my auntie explain it all to you. So yeah, after he ended up getting out of getting done with the whole probation and everything, mind you, remember I was telling you already how the police is already putting targets on us. So the
We can
whole
hear
time
everyone.
while he had to fight that gun case and sitting there and plead guilty to it and all that, he became a target automatically. Them same police that's policing the county jails is the same police that's patrolling our neighborhoods. So when he got out of jail, he already had this target on his back. So after that, you got to understand the harassment. It just started and then it just took off, and then he ended up getting into it with the girl, and that was a whole situation that blew up everything. It was a domestic violence situation where he's fighting with his girlfriend. He takes the phone and he throws it, but he ended up giving the phone back to the girl. But the police came out there and made it seem as if he robbed her and everything else of the sort. And then they bringing up his old record. Oh, he's a felon with a firearm and all of this other stuff. And it was a domestic violence situation. And mind you, he was out on bail. His bail was being paid up. He didn't have no actual warrant. The felony warrant that they're trying to say he had, that ain't even been presented. Where did it come from if he's going to court and everything? That don't make sense with it itself, but that's what these officers is saying, these agencies, because we don't even know if they really officers or not, because they still ain't even been identified. These could just be some thugs. Who knows? And they're saying, oh, well, we was there to serve a felony warrant. You got policies and procedures to do. Serve a warrant, how to apprehend a suspect, and everything else without taking their lives. And this wasn't no, we're going to go serve a warrant and apprehend a suspect. No, this was murder. They got up in the morning, they got dressed, they put their guns on, they put their armor on and all that, and they had it in their mind that they was about to go kill Jaque. That's it, and that's all. TGK, that's what they was coming to do that day. They wanted to kill him, and that's what they did. And now they're doing their best to sweep it under the floor and not even follow their own procedures. Transparency laws, 1421, SB 1421, that was amended to SB 16, clearly state if an officer discharge a firearm, it is transparency for the public to know who this individual is.
Mm-hmm.
Why these people ain't been identified, and that's law. And if you don't follow the law, the federal government is supposed to come through in here and prosecute you for doing so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's really going on? You got one agency that's out of their jurisdiction that then murder my little cousin. You got the jurisdiction saying, we don't got no parts of that. We showed up late when it was all done. And when we showed up, San Bernardino left. San Bernardino don't even want to say nothing about anything. Y'all violating our constitutional rights with our due process. Y'all not even allowing us to go file a citizen's complaint against these assailants because you're not allowing them to be identified under your own policies. That's against rules and regulations.
So it sounds like San Bernardino's just washing their hands with it. They're just saying we don't got nothing to do with this.
Yep.
Both of them, both Riverside and
Both
San
of them.
Bernardino sheriffs are complicit in this. And we know that, even when we're dealing with like communities of color and officers of color, that once they decide that they're going to protect each other, it doesn't matter like if they're black or brown or white or whatever, they're blue and they protect each other at all expense, right? So Riverside and San Bernardino are both pointing at each other whenever Tyesha asks any questions or asks for the body cam footage or asks for the names of the officers or asks for the basic information that the family should be entitled to at the death of a 23-year-old young man in broad daylight. There is a minimal amount of information that they should be able to receive. They never even really called her to tell her that this had happened to her son. She had to find out through other people, witnesses and people at the scene, about this information because they didn't officially notify her as Riverside or San Bernardino sheriffs. And that's the kind of thing that, we see over and over, especially in the context of the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department and the coroner's office are like hand in hand together, right? The coroner reports to the sheriff. So when it comes time to ask the coroner what happened in this situation, how was this person killed? Were they shot in the back? Were they shot in the front? Was it self-defense? Like, what was it? The coroner always sides with the sheriff because it's their boss, right? So part of this conversation is also about looking at the sheriff's departments, both San Bernardino and Riverside, and figuring out like, how can we do a better job as the public in demanding accountability from law enforcement? If I were to just go up to someone and just shoot them in broad daylight in the middle of the plaza, there would be accountability. I would be immediately held, in scrutiny and investigated and arrested, and my name would be public. There would be a press conference probably saying who I am and why I did what I did. But for officers, that's not the case. And we have a long-standing practice in Southern California because we're one of only three states in the nation that allow this setup with the coroner and the sheriff. All the other departments across the nation have gone away from this archaic Wild West practice and have a separate coroner from the sheriff's department, like a medical examiner, an actual medical doctor. And this is all coming to a head, in the public as well. If you look at local newspaper articles, you'll see that the California grand jury just put out a report really talking about this kind of problem with the sheriff's department, focusing on Riverside County sheriffs, but San Bernardino County sheriffs are also very problematic.
Yeah. So because that's one of the things. It sounds like there's co-conspiring together, and I think that's a common thing. No, it's not uncommon here, but this sounds pretty bad because you got two different sheriff departments pointing at each other, or sheriff and police pointing at each other. Then you got everybody working together to try to make it seem like nothing happened. So can I ask at this point? So where are we in terms of trying to get Jaque justice at this point? Anybody can take that question.
Tyesha,
you said because where we at, we don't seem like we're nowhere because we're not getting nowhere. We're my nephew, his wife, and I, and Mary. We're going out there. We're going out there every month. Demanding answers. Trying to get more people to come out with us to demand more answers. We can't get no media coverage. We haven't, got news coverage, anything. So basically we're just a little team. We're little, but we got a mighty voice because when we go out there, they send drones on us, they send the police on us, they're intimidated by us. So we're actually doing something, but we're not doing enough.
I'm gonna tell you where we at. We are at the forefront of this, and they're forcing us to stand still. That's where we at. We ain't being heard, like Monty said. This ain't been on the news. This should have been all over the news. Should have been on the news when it happened. No, but the news don't even want to get involved because they're protecting the police. Because if the news would have got involved, then the news would have been able to go all up in the police station and made them reveal who it was and how it happened and everything else right then. Because just like Miss Mary said, if she was to do something like this, snap of a finger, everything would have been on the media. That's the first thing. The media ain't even giving us the proper acknowledgement. the city council. We done been to city council meetings. We done been to county council meetings. We done been to all these different meetings, and these people act as if everything we saying is just like null and void. We heard you, but that's it. Go sit somewhere and be quiet about it. But the heartbreaker of it all, not only is my little cousin dead, but like Miss Mary just said, it's these people protecting the wrongdoing. You got police officers that really want to be police officers because it's in their blood to do right by people. But then somehow you got these officers that then went up in there and then turned it into a militia. That ain't what officers supposed to be.
Yeah.
Y'all not supposed to be out here violating us like this and treating us like this. We humans just like y'all. Just like y'all represent somebody's son or daughter, so do we. Just like y'all represent somebody's mother or father, so do we. We breathe in the same air as these officers, bleed in the same way, but yet they're being protected with some type of fictitious immunity.
Yeah.
Come on, man, that's wrong all the way up and down. As a society, that's wrong. This could be your son. This could be your dad. This could be your brother that got gunned down by the police in broad daylight with no weapon on them, no nothing.
Without their day in court.
And once it's not just was he gunned down, this was premeditated. They plotted to do this to him. And this could have been you. This could have been your child. This could happen to me today when I walk up out of here to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
No, this needs to change. Department, police officers, Department of Justice, lawmakers.
Thanks.
This needs to change as a people, United States. Listen, hello, we got ears.
So
this is wrong. That's where we at right now. We ain't being heard. Ain't nothing being done.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why I do this platform here, because I need people to get this. I'm trying to help people get their story out, information out, because I know how, suppressing the information can be, how it can be suppressed and not even get into the public, and the wrong information. I've seen some of them redacted documents. You might as well just give me a damn black piece of paper. So the whole point is not to have the information get out there. But I do want to ask y'all, do you think that this is a trend in San Bernardino County, or if they're doing something specific to Jaque, or is this standard protocol for everybody?
No.
Yeah, this is definitely a trend in the Inland Empire. Like, there's a report called the Lost Lives Report, and you can look it up, Google it, Lost Lives Report, and it compares, across California, the different lives that have been lost in jail, in custody, in the streets, at the hands of the police, law enforcement, the sheriff's department, all of it. And when we look at that, people normally think of Los Angeles because the huge numbers of Los Angeles, the population there is very big. So there's a lot of deaths at the hands of the police. But when you look at that data and you compare it to the Inland Empire, in the Inland Empire, we're killing folks here twice as much as Los Angeles, twice as much. So per capita, our folks are dying at a faster rate than they are in Los Angeles. And we need to really look at that. We need to really understand, why is that happening? A lot of that has to do with the Sheriff's Association and them, people who are getting excessive force and police brutality cases in LA or Orange County, and they get transferred here to the Inland Empire. They get a bump in pay instead of getting fired. And that's because the whole system, especially with the Sheriff's Association, is protecting officers who are abusing the community and abusing the power of the law enforcement. And that's what was said already about qualified immunity, that they have this thing called qualified immunity that allows them to, even if they're afraid that it might be a gun, like it's, people have held cell phones or, toy guns and been shot by the police, because if they use any kind of, excuse that they were in fear for their lives, they get qualified immunity. And these are the types of policies that, here in California, We profess to be, you know, 10 years ahead of everybody else across the country. But in this particular subject, we're behind. We're 10 years behind everybody else. And we're not having policies that protect the community against law enforcement abuse and brutality.
Yeah, you know, you said something that really hit me because I'm going to ask this because this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that your county is smaller than LA. If your county is smaller than LA, yet have a higher number of cases of police brutality, that's horrible.
Exactly.
LA is the main county out there. It's the main city. So how could you have more cases of police brutality and be smaller? There's something that needs to be checked into. That's horrible. Mm-hmm. Goodness.
And that's why the state grand jury put out this report recently. Tomorrow, we're going to be at a Board of Supervisors meeting, you know, talking about this at the Riverside County Supervisors. At 9:30 in the morning, there's going to be a call for people to make public comment as the county supervisors are considering creating an independent oversight committee. So a community-led oversight committee that will look at some of these cases because, you know, as far as policing themselves, the police and the sheriffs have not been doing it. You know, the sheriffs in particular, Chad Bianco, you know, ran for office and governor, and he's more worried about his political aspirations than the deathly, you know, rate of people being killed in his county by the sheriff's department. He claims boldly that there's no problem, that the people that are being killed, it's their own fault, even though these folks, many of them have not had their day in court yet.
Yeah, and I'll say this, you know, I don't know if you guys know, I think maybe Tyesha knows, but I'm the author of a book about policing in America. I'm the author of The Good, the Bad, and the Blue. And, you know, Mary, you just said something that I touch upon in my book, and that is oversight. If you think about it, the police organization is the only space that does oversight on itself. Think about this. Yeah. Who does oversight on airplanes? That's the FAA. Who does oversight on drug manufacturers? That's the FDA, right? Mm-hmm. We can keep going forever. But when you talk about police, who does oversight on police? Police. So yeah, that right there, that's a big problem. There's something wrong there. That's one of the things that need to get fixed, you know, and that's why a lot of this stuff keeps occurring, because if I'm looking into myself, I'm gonna make it turn out the way I want it to turn out, you know? And so, yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
I want to say something real quick, because it's the transparency, man. I understand the police oversee the police, right? But you got to understand that you have the internal affairs over the police. So if you take something to the internal affairs, I don't care what it is, it's documented and it's tagged onto that police, that agency, and they have to follow through with the investigation and findings and everything. What's going on is the police is stopping us from filing those citizens' complaints. We have to be able to identify. If we get the name and the badge number, I promise you, man, I'll write up something ridiculous and get it to the internal affairs, and the internal affairs will be knocking at the door. How dare y'all have somebody reporting something like this on y'all? But no, they're stopping there. That's the violation of due process. That's the violation of constitutional rights. And this is it's going to become a big problem. Watch when they get traction. This is going to be ugly. And that's why they're making us wait it out. That's why they point, go over there. No, go over there. Go over there. Go talk to them. Go talk to them. They want us to get tired. But what's going to happen is them names going to come out, and then we're going to start a cold paper trail, because that's what they're preventing, is the paper trail. You can't. That's the only way to beat anybody in anything is with a pencil and a piece of paper. You got to write it down. You have to submit the documents. And once it's submitted, they can't do nothing then. All this intimidation, all this, be quiet. Now you can't do nothing then. The judge got to look at this now. And that's what needs to be done. I hope whoever watching this, make them say the names. Make them say the badge numbers. Mm-hmm. And I promise you, man, bro, I didn't got police fired. I didn't got COs fired. I didn't did it to them. And I can't wait to do it to these people. I'm going to cook them real bad. On this one. I
But
promise you
that's
that.
why they're waiting out the clock. You know what I mean? They're delaying giving any information to Tyesha or the family because they know that the only way that we can hold them accountable is that even if the sheriffs don't hold them accountable themselves, like even if they don't give them charges, the public can hold them accountable. The public can hold them accountable for the death of a community member. And they're playing every dirty trick in the book to try not to do that, framing him as a rapper, like he's gang affiliated because he's a hip hop artist, like playing into the worst stereotypes and things and trying to villainize Jaque. I don't care who you are or what you've done. You deserve your day in court. You deserve your day in court, and the police and the sheriffs are not executioners. They do not have our permission as a community under protect and serve to go out and just execute someone in cold blood in the middle of broad daylight in a shopping center. No matter what you've done, that is not justice. And so, you know, those of us, many of us in our own families, in our own neighborhoods, you know, we have law enforcement in our families. My dad was a LA County sheriff for years and retired, but I still need to hold him accountable. You can have loved ones in law enforcement and still hold them accountable, because if we don't hold them accountable, who will? It's not going to be themselves. They're not going to hold themselves accountable. We have to be, as a community, strong enough to say this is not okay, and this is crossing boundaries, and this is not what protecting and serving our community looks like. And we need to take care of us. And that is a responsibility that each of us hold, even those of us that have loved ones in law enforcement.
Absolutely. So
might I add this? I just called Friday. Friday I called because they told me it takes 4 to 6 months to amend a death certificate. You know, my son's death certificate still says cause of death is pending. I called Friday because it's 6 months. What's going on? How can I get it amended? The law enforcement have put a seal on my son's death certificate. Basically, it is forbidden to give any information to change any cause of death until their investigation is complete. So therefore, my son's cause of death can stay pending for the next year until the Department of Justice is done investigating.
so they just so it sounds like they just put a just sounds like they just shut down the coroner's office and the medical examiner's office by doing that. Right?
They're blocking.
Yeah, they're blocking.
Listen, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna tell you this. The Department of Justice, they better hope by the grace of God that they are doing their job to the fullest extent. Because boy, oh boy, to hold them accountable for all this, they better come down from their investigation and say, here's the assailants, it was murder, and yes, we about to charge them with murder. Anything less than that, we're gonna go after that Department of Justice too, Auntie. Watch me. I promise you that. If their investigation don't come back and say murder and we charging these assailants because these bullets came from this gun and that gun and this gun, we gonna hold their ass accountable too. I swear to God, they gonna be saying Jaque case law after this. His name gonna be case law when I'm done with it. I promise you. Oh my God, they put a seal on the death certificate pending a motherfucking investigation. And they ain't told us nothing about the investigation, and they denied you when you asked for the current findings of the investigation.
So look, anybody can take this question, but I've seen this a lot, and to me, this is the delay tactic so they can create a narrative that works for them. All right?
Exactly.
Seen it 1,000 times, and so they haven't figured out the story yet. It's still working on the story. Right. And so that is, but you know, it could be something else too. But that's one of the things I've seen a lot. And so that's what I think might be going on. That something needs to be done about that, because that's horrible.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I want to lift up something that Tyesha said. You know, the family has been getting together on the 22nd of every month. Jaque was killed on January 22nd. And every month, February, March, April, May, we've been gathering at the spot that he was killed in the Riverside Plaza and you know, having a vigil and talking about what does justice for Jaque look like? How can we get justice for Jaque? And, we've had a very small but mighty group of folks who've been supporting that work. Shout out to everyone who showed up and turned out and grabbed the mic and grabbed a bullhorn and making noise and forcing attention to be paid to this issue. But, as a Justice Families Coalition, we've seen thousands of people come out for other folks who have experienced similar, conspiracies by the police. And I think we need those thousands of people to come out now. It's been 6 months. They are still stonewalling. They are still blocking. They are still, holding and harboring information and not sharing it with the family. They're doing this under the guise of justice, but it's not real justice. And we need the community to come out on July 22nd at 6 p.m. at the corner of Tyler and Magnolia in the parking lot there between the tire shop and Starbucks. There's a parking lot there. And come out and support this family. We need media. We need people to write articles like op-eds in the newspaper. We need folks to really, really turn out and bring attention to this. Bring your signs, honk your horn, bring your bullhorn, and help us really make some noise about this case so that we can try to see if we can get some of the information that Tyesha's been asking for.
Yeah, that's I mean, they already put a sign on their necks because if that wasn't the case, they wouldn't be suppressing the evidence, right? It's be like, oh yeah, we did what we thought was right. Here's the evidence. But the fact that y'all can't even get the evidence lets me know everything I need to know, frankly.
Exactly.
So I got a question. Y'all might have said this, but I'll forget quick. But so it sounds like they kind of painted Jaque as a a thug and somebody that had a gun, and that's the whole. And because he supposedly stole a cell phone, that's the reason why they killed him, or am I missing something? Can somebody clear me up?
That was the reason why he had a warrant, was because of the cell phone. That happened 5 months prior to him killing them.
Oh.
So when they killed him, they had no reason to approach him. They had no reason to go up to him. They're saying that they went up to him because they recognized him as somebody that had a warrant.
They recognize him. They recognize him as somebody that had a warrant.
So they asked him to stop. He refused to stop. He immediately ran, and they immediately shot him. They didn't give him a chance to say who his name was or anything. When I went to the scene, I was at the scene 30 minutes after that happened because his best friend that was there with him called me as it was happening. So I was there 30 minutes after it happened. And I'm telling them, as I see my son on the floor, I'm like, I need to go identify him. Let me see who that is. They're telling me that they can't. Oh no, we can't. We're waiting on the coroners to come to get fingerprint to identify him. You guys should have already identified him if you murdered him down. You said that you recognized him. That's why you shot him. But when I'm at the scene asking you, how can you be for sure that's my son? You had no answers for me.
So I think you know what it was. Again, I think what that was spin, because they're waiting for the coroner to get there, because they're gonna make sure the coroner, whatever information the coroner gets, they're gonna spin it into their little narrative to make sure that it is what they need it to be. So you can't see it. You can't see it. And so
I'm gonna say this, right? For them to say that they thought he was somebody, or whatever the case may be, and even if they go with that narrative, right, and they say, well, we was looking for this mass murder killer, and that's why we used this force on him because we thought that was him. That's top of the line bullshit, because remember, the girlfriend, Auntie, said that these motherfuckers showed up with a search warrant to her house.
After they killed them.
How do you produce a search warrant that fast for your house, but you say you was looking for somebody? Nah, it's too many loose ends there. That ain't gonna make no sense. Because if you're looking for some crazy person that y'all was out to use this force on, you wouldn't be able to say, oh, well, this was a mistaken identity, because that's what they're going to try to run with. Because he ain't got no gun. He ain't got no reason for y'all to be even stopping him. And y'all gunned him down like that. But right after y'all kill him, y'all got a search warrant for his girlfriend's house? No, that ain't going to add up.
They're trying to fabricate or find evidence to justify the killing of Jaque. You know, that is covering their asses, literally trying to cover their asses. And I think the other important part to understand too is that the family already had a loss in the family. That you know, Jaque was in the region because he was attending a funeral. So, like, you know,
Oh wow.
the idea that they were already at that plaza because
Mhm.
they were serving him a warrant with that many officers, like, you know, they don't serve that many officers on a warrant with people who are like, you know, cartel gang members. Like, they don't do that level of number of officers. When you look at the video, there's like a swarm of officers, like a ton of officers. And you can hear the people in the parking lot being like, why did they shoot him? He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't, you know, like, you can hear the people in the parking lot commenting about how they murdered him in cold blood. You know, people don't say that, you know, like, especially on recordings, you know, especially people that didn't even know him, you know, like, you know, without it being obviously, you know, some kind of, you know,
Malicious.
abuse of power,
It
abuse
was
of
malicious.
violence. Mhm.
Yeah, you know, I was gonna mention that because I did
Malicious.
watch the videos, and man, it was a few people definitely with the cell phone saying, "Why'd you guys do that? He didn't do
Yeah.
nothing. He wasn't doing nothing
Mhm.
wrong." You know, and it's
Mhm.
just like it's like I mean, I don't know gun law in California, but maybe if he had a gun, I don't know, maybe it was concealed or whatever. But I don't know gun law, but I'm just saying that's not reason enough to kill someone. You got to
He had
have
no
Exactly.
weapon, no
No
gun, no
weapons
weapon,
on
no
the
knife, no nothing, no bat, nothing.
wow,
and,
yeah. And so the people on the scene were upset about the whole thing. Like, why'd y'all do
Mhm.
that?
upset.
You
They
know,
was
they
distraught.
probably didn't even know him. You know, but
They
go
was
ahead, Captain
Yeah,
Quincy.
they was beyond distraught. And I just want to add this on, right? Just so law could be clearly seen here. When someone have a warrant for their arrest, the warrant is not served in public. It's served at their house of residence.
Right.
Mhm.
You're not supposed
That I
to,
didn't even know that.
that's law. That's the reason for a warrant. Because the police cannot enter a premises without a warrant.
It's a place. You got to go have a
Yes, you
place.
don't need a warrant for a public domain.
Mhm.
No, you need a warrant to enter a occupant space, a space that's being occupied, a
Mhm.
residential area. So if you got a warrant for his arrest, Auntie, did they come knock on your door or kick it in looking for him? Did
Never.
they kick? They didn't kick in my. Did they kick in anybody's door looking for it?
They never even called and told me. I called the bells bond myself, and they said, we're not. The last time we notified you was before Christmas that his bill wasn't paid up, and you caught it up. And that was the last time I heard from the bells was in December.
So
Never
so
ever
so.
been called, never notified that we're looking for your son. And mind you, I'm the person that signed his bill. So I'm the person that was responsible for him going to court, him, being on task. And mind you, only reason why he did a failure to appear, let me tell you, because when he got out of jail for that false claim with his girlfriend, when he got out of jail for that, he went straight to LA to pick up his car. San Bernardino is so sloppy, they didn't take the APB out on my son. So soon as LA County seen him up in that car, he was almost to his lawyer's office. Soon as they seen him in that car, they instantly pulled him over with guns drawn. So he drove to his attorney's office. He was only 10 minutes away from his attorney's office. Didn't run red lights, didn't speed, didn't do anything out the order. So they couldn't give him no new charge. All they gave him was invading. Was it that nephew invading?
Mhm.
By him being in LA County, and I'm on the phone with him, I'm like, explain to them you just got out. They did not take this off. They did not care. They still had their guns on him. Get the fuck, talking crazy to him. So he's just instantly just like, forget it. He went to jail. It was the weekend. So of course you're not going to see a judge in LA until that Monday. They let him out that Monday because they didn't have no reason to be holding him. When he got
Mhm.
out that Monday, we went to court for this so-called warrant that they had him for. And as soon as they seen he was in jail in LA County, oh, we're going to take him back to court and we're going to take him back to jail in San Bernardino because we see he picked up a charge over the weekend and he's out on bail. He wasn't even out on bail 8 hours and he picked up a new charge. Mind you, we're trying to explain to these people how he picked up this new charge and it was not fair and it was not right and they made a mistake. They didn't care. They didn't want to hear that. They were just ready to lock him back up. He said,
Mhm.
"Mom, I need to get me in a lawyer. I need to get a lawyer and lawyer up. I don't want to go sit back in jail. Every time I ain't even been out for 10 hours. I ain't even had a meal yet. And they're trying to lock me back up for something that's not my fault." He was terrified. He was tired. He was terrified and he was tired. So we left the courthouse, and that's how
Mhm.
it turned into a failure to an appear.
And mind
So
you,
he's never picked up any new charges that they can honestly say, you did a new charge, you did a new crime. No, you guys arrested him because you didn't take the APB out on his car. He barely had his car for not even 2 hours. He barely had his car, and you guys pulled him over again and took him back right back to jail after he just bailed out.
that's
Hey,
that's that's that targeting I was telling you about.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's how the police target us.
So he was tired. He was very, very tired. He didn't even live in this state no more. So for you guys to say, "Oh, we've been watching him," we knew he doesn't never be in Riverside. You guys never. How would you know he was in at Starbucks going to the bathroom? He doesn't live in Riverside. He doesn't hang out in Riverside. That's not his. That's not his town. He just happened to stop to use the bathroom.
Because it was already planned, Auntie. That's why
yeah,
they was
yeah.
plotting on you. They was watching him to do him like this. That's why. To
So my
answer to
thing is
give it to you
they
raw.
couldn't have been watching him because he was not even in the town. He wasn't even out here a full 24 hours.
No,
Well,
I'm
so
telling.
so
I'm
so
telling. Hmm?
no, I didn't mean to cut you off, Kunta, but yeah, no, I'm with you, Kunta, because here's the thing: I can't figure out how they knew it was in the plaza if they wasn't watching him.
I think they were
Maybe.
there for something else. I
Because
don't
Oh,
even think that they had.
one of the
Go ahead,
witnesses told
Tyesha.
us they had been in that plaza since 7:30 that morning. So it
Mhm,
wasn't like they
mhm.
just mysteriously got there when my son came. They had already
oh,
been in the plaza with ICE that morning.
oh, they were looking, they were itching to kill somebody. Okay,
They was
understood.
just
Yes,
itching to kill.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They was just on.
And
They
that
was on a
really,
killing mission. And
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 that
watch
really,
this.
that
What's
really
not to
goes to
cut
the
you.
whole thing that we've been
Not to
talking about with
get
complicity
me.
between ICE and the police. Like they've
If
been
they if
attacking communities.
if they really wasn't watching them, right, and they was already there, then yeah, these officers was really on some. They was on a killing mission, and they seen a black man walking through there that could
Mm-hmm.
fall in the line of looking like a thug, or maybe he got a gun on him. Yeah, these officers is something else, man. This is wrong.
It's the same profiling that they're doing with ICE, right? They're
This is
arresting
wrong.
Native Americans because they think they look like immigrants. Like there's no rhyme or reason to it. They're trying to catch up people, and it's just like a wide net, and they're just grabbing everybody, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. It's not like you have to do something to be, in trouble with the police. It's not like that anymore. Now it's almost like the community versus the police. Like, the police against the community. The people that they're supposed to protect and serve, that they're getting paid with our tax dollars at 50% of the city and county budgets of our money go to not mental health, not education, not nutrition, not anything good for our communities. It's going to law enforcement.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And when they talk about gangs, what really pisses me off about how they try to frame Jaque as a gang member is the police are the biggest gang in our community. They
Like
have
that, right?
been and are the biggest and most dangerous gang in our community. And
Absolutely.
people need to understand that, this whole stereotyping and rhetoric around Jaque being a gang member and trying to paint him as dangerous is hypocritical. Because when we look at the reports and we look at the data, there are more deaths at the hands of law enforcement than any other gang in the region.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, I didn't know Jaque, but I'm sitting here listening to Kunta. Kunta was close to Jaque. So Kunta, you know, it seemed like, you know, you probably know Jaque better than even his mom, because you probably was with him most of the time. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? Y'all was close. So he's not that guy, right? He's not the dude that they are trying to paint him to be.
I'm gonna tell you this, man. You know, growing up on the West Side, everybody is painted out to be like that. You know what I mean? But just like Mary said, it's not that we're a gang. No, man, we from the West Side. This is our neighborhood. This is where we grew up at. This is what we know. But from the outside looking in, oh, they're gang members. They're this and that because this person did this or this person did that. That don't mean I didn't did it. That don't mean Jaque did it. You know what I mean? Just because he's rapping about all this and that, he's rapping about the things he's seeing. He's rapping about his environment. He's telling you, he's giving you a vivid picture of a day in his life of what it looked like. But does that make him an animal? No. No, that make him a product of this environment that's what we know. No, man, he had morals and values. Listen, man. One thing about Jaque, he went to church, bro. Not even a lot of people know about church. He did that faithfully. Okay, Cuzzo, I gotta call you back, man. I'm walking in the church. All right, Cuzzo, I love you. I'll talk to you in a minute. But now with the media, oh, he's a gang member, he's this and that. But he a churchgoer. If he see a bum, he's for sure gonna give up $1 or $2. If you ask him for anything, hey, come help me do this real quick. Come help me clean out my garage or whatever. He coming to help you do that. He was a black man, bro. That's what he was, straight up and down in America. And this is what we suffer from. We have to suffer from these stereotypes. We get treated like this. We get treated like this. If we say something to somebody, watch this, just because I'm about to go in a minute. But I'm at work the other day, right? And one of my supervisors, she's of a different race. She say what she say to me. She say it aggressively, right? Me, I'm an older person, and I know if I say something back to a woman at that as a black man, it's getting taken aggressively. It's getting taken in a whole nother context. So you know what I do? I go talk to the other supervisor and I tell him, hey man, no disrespect, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave for the day. Why? What's going on, Mr. Isaiah? I said, because I don't like to be talked to certain type of ways. And I know me being a black man, I can't respond the way I would like to because it's gonna get taken this way and out of context. Same thing with Jaque. They trying to take his lifestyle out of context. They trying to make him out to be something that he ain't. And that's no, man. Oh man, he loving and caring. Great guy. Awesome. This should never happen to him, man.
Yeah, you know, this is a extremely unfortunate situation. You know, hopefully hopefully you guys get justice. You know, I'm here pushing for you, but you know, right now what I like to do is just I like to close this discussion out. Everybody say something good about Jaque. Just say, you know, one of your good memories or something, right? And I like to say, I'll save mom for last. So Mary, why don't you just take a minute, say something about Jaque, and then, you know, we'll move on to Kunta and mom.
All I need to know about Jaque is that he was loved. And I've had the privilege and honor to see, you know, his younger brothers and how they love him currently, presently, you know, like how much love and passion they have for justice for Jaque. You know, these kids show up on the 22nd of every month. You know, they chant their little hearts out, and it's such a beautiful, you know, expression to see young men, you know, young men of color in our community show love for each other. And that is like real and authentic and something that we can't ignore. You know, he was loved. He loved his community. He loved his family. And you can tell by the way that, you know, his brothers talk about him, and how much you can tell that they're mourning him, and they deserve to have their brother here. So justice for Jaque.
Absolutely.
Justice for
Kunta.
Jaquay. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something about it. One thing about Jaquay, I don't care what he was doing, how he was doing it, mad, happy, or sad, he can make you laugh. That's what he can do. That's what he can do. His naturally goofy self. He can walk in a room and not even say nothing. He just look at you and he gonna pull it out you. That's what he will do. He will pull out a smile off your face every time. Every time. Every time. I don't care what the situation was like. He could walk up and make everybody smile real fast. And I'm gonna always remember you for that, my nigga. On
Yeah,
everything.
you need that dude in the room, man, for sure.
Every time, man.
For
Every
sure.
time he gonna make you smile, man.
Me
On
too.
everything.
All right, Mom. Have the last words.
One thing, like you said, yep, that's what he's gonna do. He gonna make you laugh. And for me, he was more like my daddy and my kid's daddy than just my son. Because he calls me and he chastises me like, "Mom, you letting these kids do this? Mom, you're doing that?" Like, all right, I'll be there right now. Like, just these, we had our ups and downs, don't get me wrong, but he knew who he can call. And mama was coming. I don't care what time of day, night, anything, I'm coming for you, son. Like, we go get through anything. And one thing he did, his brothers all knew. I used to tell him, stop spoiling your brothers. Every other week, he's sending him Robux. He gets food sent to the house. I said, who sent all this food here, Jaquay? I said, this boy, stop,
Right?
like they'll rather call him. Like, we want to have a sleepover, but can Jaquay be the chaperone instead of you, Mom? Because all of our friends know he's a rapper and they all want him to come. And I'm just like,
That's
okay,
cool.
so it made me feel good to know like he was a shine. When I tell you he had one niece and he was so happy to finally have a niece. He got another niece coming, I mean a nephew coming now that they're naming after him for one of his other siblings on his dad's side. She's having a boy and his name is Jaquay. That really, touched my
Amazing.
heart to hear that. But he had his own only niece that he got to meet, and he loved her to death. He spoiled her to death, and that baby still he still talks to her to this day. Cause my baby still says uncle. She still walks up to his pictures. She still walks up to him, uncle, and kisses him. So I know he's still talking to us. And what keeps me going and strong, because I know my baby was tired. He was tired of looking over his shoulders. He was tired of being tormented by these police and these females. I'm not gonna call them what I really want to call them, the female dogs, but he was tired of them. He was a gigolo. He was fine as hell. Okay, he was tall, light skinned, and had a mouthpiece that'll have every girl, dropping to his knees. I had one girl said, she just told me the other day they were all arguing in a group chat, and I just happened to go and look. And she said he made all of us feel special. He talked to all of us like this. I said, well, I'm glad you guys know it. That
I'm mad.
every girl, when I had his repass, 10 girls came to me and said, I was his number one girl. I was his number one girl. So I said, okay. I just accepted them all and I accepted all their bows. So that just showed you. I had 10 different bows from 10 different girls that was his girlfriend. So I
Don't
know
do
my baby had a mouthpiece and he knew how to butter up a female, but he knew how to respect them too. And
10
that was
number
one thing.
ones. Boy, it don't get no better than that. You got
And
10
he,
number
he
ones, don't get no better than that.
and yep, and he knows, and that's what keeps me. But they were hate him. They hated him. So they love and hate, love and hate. Well, if I can't have you, then the police or the gangbangers gonna have you. Well, if I can't, and it trapped him. He was young. He was 21, 22. He had the life. He was a rapper, making money, flashy clothes, flashy jewelry, and that he was living a life that he should be living at his age of a man with no kids and no wife. He was able to live like that, and they took it away. And God keeps me strong some days. I'm not gonna say every day, but most days and some days God keeps me strong. And if I keep fighting for him and I'm knowing I'm putting his name out here and I'm not giving up, it's gonna keep me stronger and it's gonna help with my boys and keep them going stronger too. So I want to always say justice for Jaquay, and it's not gonna stop here. And for all our viewers and everyone that's watching this, come out and support Jaquay. Everybody tells me how much love they had. Nephew, you know, it was over 200 people at his funeral.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see that, you know, we don't see
Mm-hmm.
that love no more, you know.
Come out on the
Even if you
22nd.
can't, yeah, even if you can't stay, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes, just come and light a
Mm-hmm.
candle and and hit a block with us, hit one block with us, you know, march around.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that we have some kind of community support. We're not doing this just because. We need community support, and we need accountability for the way he was done and left out on that ground. And if people don't
Mm-hmm.
remember, I'll repost this video every day of my life to let people remember how bad my son was done. And we need justice for that.
Yes, Lord.
Absolutely.
Justice for Jaque.
So thank y'all for joining today. And
Justice for Jaquay.
justice for Jaque. Justice for
Justice
Jaque.
for Jaque.
So
Thank you.
what I'd like to do is I just want to say, you know, the People's Society thanks Miss Tyesha Moody, Mary, and Kunta for joining us today. And remember, if you are impacted by police brutality, or you know somebody who has been, and they don't want to speak their truth, tell them to contact the People's Society. All right. You can see our email addresses in my name tag, the People's Society discussion at gmail.com. Get in touch with me and we'll get you on and have you speak your truth. We'll see you next time in solidarity, the People's Society.